What's up, guys? And a lot of you guys have been waiting for this video. I'm going to be basically giving you a quick tutorial on how to Evo swap your Eclipse. This works for any 1995 to 1999 428 non-turbo naturally aspirated model. You cannot do this on the GST or GSX just because the engine orientation is on the other side. So the engine is on the driver's side instead of the passenger side. I'll show you guys real quick. So as you can see, for these cars, the 428 is usually on that side right there, and the 4G63 on the GST and GSX comes right here. So yeah, you can only do this on 428 models. From what I know right now, I think there's only 6 worldwide that actually have this swap. So that's why it's kind of difficult for me to swap this thing, because there was no how-to, there was like no information out. So I kind of had to figure it out myself and do a lot of research. I know a lot of 3G guys do it too, but I'm gonna give you guys like a quick tutorial. I'm gonna be putting the part list in the description, and I'm also gonna be putting my official DSM tuners build thread. It gives you like a basic understanding. And if you guys still have more questions, you guys can hit me up on IG, but ask me like technical questions, you know, nothing that's been answered already. So I'll be glad to help you guys out. But let's start real quick. So you can pretty much use any Evo 4 to Evo 9 engine, and you could either go front wheel drive or all wheel drive. I'm going to be going all wheel drive soon, but we basically, when we did the swap, I wanted to make sure everything ran correctly, so we kind of took the easy route and we went with the front wheel drive setup, so because it's a little easier. But yeah, it's a Evo 8 2003-2005 engine, and it's paired to a 2000 to 2005, I don't know if you can see it, Mitsubishi Eclipse transmission. It's the GS model. The GS, it's the 2.4 liter, I don't remember the name of it, but it's a 4-cylinder, basically, the 4-cylinder trans. And it's basically full bolt-ons. Again, remember, you do not have to follow my exact path, I guess you could say. You could either do it, you know, in a cheaper way, or, you know, a better way, a more detailed way. I kind of just put it together. It's kind of more of like a testing setup, like it's just to test it, and then later, once I, you know, take everything out again, I'll be doing everything legit, basically. So we kind of just put it together just to see how it ran. It hasn't given me any issues at all. I mean, it has a couple issues, but nothing major. So yeah, so you use this stock 428 mount on this side. You have to flip it around though, and if you notice, it's missing the stud in the middle. You have to use the stock 428 mount in the back, and you could actually use the cross member mount right here up here, but you do have to cut it so it clears the bell housing on the transmission. The only fabrication you need for the mounts is the 3G trans right here. We had to move it up 6 inches. Again, it goes over it in the build thread to kind of show you more of like a more detailed explanation. You do not have to run all these modifications. Like I got a manifold, I got the ETS intercooler piping, Grady blowout valve, AM intake, but you don't have to, you know, you can run a stock setup, or you can run, you know, a nice one, but you do have to run a manifold spacer. I don't know if you can tell, like the wrap is covering it, sorry for the exhaust leak, but yeah, you have to run, it's like, I think it's like it's a couple inches, but you have to make it big enough so the turbo down here clears the starter, because basically when we swap the 3G trans onto the Evo motor, the turbo hits the starter, so you have to make sure, you know, you push the manifold and the turbo away more towards the front of the car so it clears. And because of that, you basically cannot run a regular radiator unless you tuck it inside basically the front of the frame here. So I personally ran an Evo 8.9 half rad from Mishimoto. The car does run super hot with a half rad. I have both a pusher and a puller fan, but even then it's not enough. That's why I ended up getting this DB hood, just for more ventilation basically, so it doesn't overheat on me. The hardest part of this car will easily be the wiring. As you can tell, like, it's a hybrid between, we use both the stock 428 harness mixed in with the Evo 8 harness. It will help a lot if you actually have an Evo with you, kind of see where all the sensors and all the plugs go. So we basically use my Evo here as kind of like as a guideline, I guess you can say. But it made it a lot easier. You can see it's the same engine. but I don't know, you don't have to do it, but I found it a lot easier just to do the wiring basically with an Evo right there to help you, you know. So since you're using a 3G trans, you have to use a 3G clutch and a 3G flywheel. I ended up going with Clutchmasters, but I feel like it's making too much power and the clutch is starting to slip, so that's primarily the reason why I'm going all-wheel drive, just because the transmission's too weak to hold the power on these engines, and it's just better to go, you know, Evo transmission and go all-wheel drive. You know, it's just a better setup overall. This is more of like a temporary thing and just to get it running basically. So yeah, you have to get a 3G trans, 3G flywheel, 3G clutch, also a 3G slave cylinder. I know it's kind of hard to see in there, but you kind of get an understanding. Everything else is pretty much stock. I mean, we use stock manifold. I use a fuel pressure regulator, manual boost controller. I mean, none of this stuff has to be done, but I mean, if you want to just play it safe and do it right, you know, just save up. A lot of people ask me how much the Evo swap costs, and I added up everything and it was a little over 10 grand. So it's a little out of budget for some people, but I mean, if you can do it, I'd say do it. I love having it just because it's, you know, it's different. And I didn't want a turbo, you know, because a turbo 428 is kind of common these days and there's nothing exciting about it. So, and they don't really make power. So this thing is pretty quick. I mean, it keeps up with Evos pretty much. So it's no slouch, especially coming, you know, 140 horsepower with a 428. So I mean, there's not much to it. You have to use 3G axles in the front if you're going to be running the front wheel drive setup, and everything else bolts up. I mean, it's not too difficult. I think the hardest part is easily the wiring. I personally took it to a buddy who pretty much does wiring for a living, so he was able to knock it out in like a week and a half. But if you don't know how to do wiring, it's going to be a nightmare because it's super hard. Again, even my cluster doesn't work. My RPM in the cluster doesn't work. My speedometer doesn't work. What else? My reverse lights don't work. My hazards don't work. My blinkers don't work. So again, I still have to work around it, and there's still a lot of stuff left to do. But again, it's not a common swap, so there's not much information on like how to swap it basically, how to do everything, if that makes sense. But I mean, if you know someone that knows a lot about cars, you should be okay. It's nothing hard. But like with any swap though, it's a lot of work. A lot of people do not expect to spend that much money, but you're putting something that's not meant to be there and making it work. So there's a lot of custom fabrication, a lot of custom work. And then again, I think it's worth it. It looks dope. I'm going to be taking this engine out, painting the bay, doing a wire tuck, getting rid of the spacer, going with the Evo transmission, transfer case, custom drive shaft, GSX rear end. I think that's how you all will drive swap it. I'm not really too sure, but I'll be, you know, guiding you guys through the process once it comes, you know, once the time comes. And I'm just, you know, rambling on, but I'm trying to like feed everything out. I'm trying to think though, what else is missing? I'm using the stock 420A fuse blocks. Oh yeah, for the shifter linkages, we actually ran a 2G shifter linkage on one side and a 3000 GT shifter linkage on the other side. It was weird because it was the only way the transmission would mount up to the gears, and basically I would be able to shift, you know, into all gears. All gears work, reverse works. Again, you guys can figure things out as you go, and you can make your own custom, you know, you can use your own custom parts, your own custom, you know, parts from other cars, or, you know, it's up to you guys. I mean, it's not a Bible, you know, it's not the exact way on how to do it. It's just the way I did it. And obviously you could go with the cheaper route, spend less money, get used parts, or again, you could, you know, go all out and, you know, make it really nice. But it's personally up to you. But if you guys have more questions, just ask me on Instagram. That's pretty much how you do it. As far as difficulty, I would give it like a 6 out of 10, just because I don't consider myself mechanically inclined. I do know the basics, but doing a swap was a complete experience for me, and it definitely helped me out, you know. It definitely made me learn a lot of things. I want to give a huge thanks to everyone that pretty much helped, you know, that came over and, you know, didn't ask for anything, pretty much just to work on the car, just to be part of, you know, this project, and that's what made it dope. You know, having people over at my house at like 2 in the morning and we're just chilling, you know, having a good time, and we didn't know if this thing was gonna work or not. You know, we nowhere knew, and there was days where I'd be like, damn, I don't know if this is ever gonna run, but we made it through. And honestly, thank you guys, and you guys know who you are. If you're helping this swap in one way or another, you know, just know I appreciate you, and you know, thanks to you this was possible. So also, I'll be releasing this Miguel DSM shirt in like, I think it's on the 9th of November. If you guys want to cop one, we're only going to be releasing 25. It's just, you know, if people want to have a shirt, you know, it's dope. It fits great quality. Driven Lab's going to be making them. Just got a sponsorship by them, so check them out on IG. And if you guys want to cop one, be ready, because there's only going to be 25 of them being made. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you have more questions, remember, hit me up on IG. I'll be glad to help out. And stay tuned for the next video. Peace out.